We've talked about Aroldis Chapman. In fact, I think Matt was the first one to bring it up on this station.
He was.
As a matter of fact.
He still believes it, and so do I now. They need him.
Oh, yeah. Do we believe it's possible, Matt?
Why wouldn't it be?
I do. I do believe
What would you have to give up? What, like, not specifically, but generally, kind of what would the Red Sox be wanting?
Well, I think they're going to want – the question here is when these trades start to happen is like moving Ozuna to a new spot part of these trades? Like, is that something that could happen in these trades? Like, now the Red Sox wouldn't be there, but especially if you go somebody that's kind of middling in the race still.
Yeah.
You know, or some of our – you know, are you going to include Henry Davis in a catcher's trade? Like that kind of stuff. So that changes the dynamic of these trades. I would have to guess with Chapman, you're gonna probably give up a top. I'm not really good with the top 20 prospects in baseball and top 20 you have overall. I heard you going at it with somebody on the call-in yesterday about this.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're gonna have to give up one of your top 5 prospects in this deal. You're gonna probably have to give up one that's in that next tier, and then somebody else that the Red Sox have identified as a potential guy, and maybe there's somebody on your current roster, you know, that fits for them. You know, Matson, who knows, somebody that they see something different in with their analytic team that they could make work.
Yeah, I think that's something. Now, the question would be, when do you do this? How soon does it happen? And what happens if they fall even further back? Let's say I think they're 10 out now of the division, which is hard to, you know, you're 4th and you got to go over all those teams. But let's say you fall 5 out of the wild card, but there are 5 teams ahead of you. And, you know, realistically, do you give up on a season or do you still go that way, depending on how this next 2 weeks go heading into the break?
I just don't see them being sellers from that standpoint. I know that's not the exact question you're asking me. I don't see them selling. It might temper their buying, I guess, from what that scenario.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it might temper your buying. And the one thing about Chapman is, and that's why I pivoted to Whitlock a little bit too, because of right hand. Chapman is old. You know, like it's amazing what he's doing. But at some point, so you have this option that, you know, that it's going to kick in for next year. That's a pretty big number in the 13, 14 millions, I think. Mm-hmm. You know, so you're taking on a little bit of risk with that, you know, by taking him and not being cemented in the race. I think this is a big stretch. These are big 2 games here. We got to get one of these games with Seattle being so hot, and you know, get the Reds while they're kind of down before Hunter Green gets back. I just think they're going to be around that wild card race enough to be buyers, and I think the Chapman trade happens after the All-Star break.
Okay, but what I'm saying, Matt, how about, you know, once you have all these teams involved, there are a lot of teams that need the same thing, would want to bring on. So there becomes a bidding war if you don't act too soon. That's why I think if I would do this, I'd try to force it now. I'd try to move quicker. When there are more teams involved, typically it means more assets are changed places.
And that hurts the Pirates, who aren't willing to give up on those situations. But again, the problem with doing it now is, you know, I'll use this example again. You know, the week before Miami came to town, they were 8 games under 500. When they left town, they were 500, and they're in the wild card race. So who is real? Like, I know one of the teams everybody was pounding. Like, let's go get the Astros guys. They have good bullpen arms. Well, Hunter Brown, the Cy Young candidate's coming back. Pena's coming back. Altuve's coming back. They have the best left-handed hitter in baseball right now in Alvarez. You know, like, how they aren't giving up. These are proud franchises that aren't giving up. Like, the Red Sox might run off 10 in a row. We don't know the schedule. Like, they could run off 10 in a row, then all of a sudden, like, do we want to do this? So that's why getting them early makes it really hard in my opinion. So what you're saying,
these teams aren't willing to deal with you yet.
Yeah, and they're smart enough to know, too, let's see if something happens that puts us in the race. But at the same time, if I wait, my bonus is I have more people dealing, and maybe the Pirates do have to give up one of their top 5 prospects when it gets to that point.
All right. So Matt Clement here until the top of the hour in studio with us. Sunny and high today. High of Darnell, Washington, 80, low of 65. Eric Carlson. Fan weather brought to you by Secure Money Advisors. Looking to retire soon? Let Secure Money Advisors get your retirement on track. Outside of the bullpen, which I think we all agree is the top priority, would you be most interested, Matt, in a veteran starter like Robbie Ray, a veteran bat such as Wilson Contreras, Luis Arias, or Matt Chapman, or a veteran catcher? One name, there's not a ton on the market, it seems, but one name that comes up is Ryan Jeffers out in Minnesota, who has like a 949 OPS. Which position or which player, and all those guys except Jeffers I've seen linked to the Pirates in some way or another, attracts you?
I like the Jeffers idea, but then he's a free agent after the year. So that one to me is I don't want a rental catcher necessarily that I might not be able to bring back in a position of flux for the Pirates. This catching position is all over the place with the candidates that they have in house.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't mind them going after a veteran catcher. I think that would be a great move. I really do. I think a veteran catcher could solve some problems and put them in a spot somebody that these guys can learn off of too at the same time. I like that Chapman. Chapman would be from the Giants. That to me, third base has been the hole. You have a dude that's a absolute elite fielder on a team that doesn't field the ball well. That puts him and Griffin on that left side of the infield, which was a pretty good combo. And he just seems like the type of veteran that comes in and gets hot. Comes in. We talked about Arenado. I look at him exactly like I look at Arenado, like the kind of dude that you could see, maybe people are starting to think Chapman's done or Arenado's done, but they roll in here. I wouldn't be surprised to see them hit 10 homers.
Yeah, just for a short period of time, right?
For a short period of time and have that resurrection of their career. So I like Chapman. I like that idea.
What's his contract, by the way?
I just looked that up. 6 years. Well, it runs through the 2030 season. Which is, I guess, good or bad, but it's 6 years, 151. What's that?
20.
I was going to do math.
30, right?
25.1.
Yeah.
So you have him through 2030 at 25.1. You'd obviously, like you said, Matt, have him and Griffin. For the purposes of now, you still have Lau at second base. Does Gonzo then become a utility guy?
Well, Gonzo moves to second base. If they're going to give him
eventually,
they're not going to sign Brandon Lau then.
Right.
Here's the thing, though. I just don't see that. I don't see them investing because Chapman's had a rough season. I don't see them investing that much money into somebody through 2030. So that kind of, I wish it was 2029 or 28 where that contract went through.
Yeah.
I think that's to me that looks like that's how the Pirates are operating. That's what they did with Lau. They're trying to catch. They're trying to catch a year and a half out of this. As nice as that thing. Now, what's Arenado's contract?
I'll look that up.
Yeah,
Can you look that up, Limits, please?
Term,
yeah, I think it makes. He has an option for next. I think there's an option, and I think the Cardinals have picked up already a lot of the money that's due to him.
Chapman, by the way, I'm talking Matt Chapman, also has a full no trade clause.
Yeah.
So I don't know that
that's
Pittsburgh's going to be on his list.
Yeah, we could get two Chapmans. That would be kind of cool.
That'd be fun.
How about that? Two
Fighting
at the same
Chapmans.
time.
Yeah.
Chapmans.
Now
they could get Rex Chapman to come in, Bob, too, at some point.
And now the Contreras you're talking about is the first base Contreras from Boston, right? Not the brother.
Right,
yeah,
Wilson.
Obviously.
DH first base.
I don't know that a first base move is one that they're going to make because I feel like.
But a DH, I guess you'd think to replace Ozuna would be
potentially,
more,
and that would probably be that I just don't see them going after a traditional first baseman because I think they'd love to give O'Hearn the first base. I think there's a legit concern about the amount of innings that O'Hearn has played in the outfield. You talk about innings caps for Ashcraft. I think worry about some of these guys playing positions way more than they have in their life is just as concerning, especially when he's had some injuries already this year.
And Horwitz has turned into a hell of a player.
He's had the Pirates have done a nice job with Horwitz. I felt like for 2 or 3 years, the beginning of this career for him, I guess it's 1 year maybe, he was put in position to be successful. And as he became successful over and over, they've pushed him into facing lefties and everything else. So they let him get early success with where he needed to be. Now they're pushing him into spots where he wasn't as successful.
Same with Cruz, right? Cruz got that up because he worked at it.
Yeah.
Changed the dynamic and makes you an everyday player.
Horwitz, he makes me think about players across sports and wondering how many guys just never wound up in a place where they gave him a full opportunity.
Yeah.
In the history of sports, you have to go somewhere where they give you a shot.
One last guy before I forget was Robbie Ray.
Yeah.
See now, if I'm going to go, I'm not really a proponent of trading for a starting pitcher just because it doesn't fit into what they have. Unless Keller would be going in the trade, which I just think Keller's going to be, you're selling him low at the moment. A lefty starter makes sense to me. Robbie Ray would be, I think, like a perfect left-hander to bring in this that could make a major impact on this team. I mean, he went, I think, last night.
J.A. Happ did.
Yes,
Same kind of situation.
But a better pitcher than J.A. Happ when he arrived. Now, J.A. Happ was out of his mind when he was here. It
really
pushed him into the playoffs, but like he wasn't thought of to be that out of his mind when he got here. Robbie Ray is a good pitcher. I think he pitched really deep in the game last night, probably deeper than any Pirate pitcher's pitched all year, probably over a couple times. And I think that that's the kind of starter I move. I just think there's a lot of moving parts. The Jones and Chandler needing to be in the rotation, I think makes it really hard to add a starting pitcher, in my opinion.